I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 20% on our brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one I've worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's,
guys.
and they're
Welcome
made
back.
right here in the USA. Get our 2025 six-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98.
Okay, let's see. Are we back? I think we are. Having a little issues again getting this one kicked off. Good old Rumble Studios. Now it's saying I'm live. That's good news. Okay, shows you guys are in here. I think we're rocking and rolling. Thank you so much for being here. Once again, it is Monday, March 3rd. Hope you're having a wonderful Monday. It is a beautiful day out here in Central California. It is breezy. It is sunny. It's got that nice chill. So, and we got a lot to talk about today. On this show right here, we have some stuff. If you guys remember, we've covered in the past DC suing the Proud Boys. We have that case dismissed, dropped. We'll talk about that a little. The DOJ issues a letter on behalf on Tina Peters sentencing. We also have Hakeem Jeffries and some others discussing sending out a little letter on folks that don't want to attend the State of the Union address tomorrow, which will be absolutely epic. A whole lot of things here. Let me hit this really quick and make sure we got a shakeup in at the FBI in New York. We've been talking a lot about the FBI in New York. Trump officially announces the investment from a company for the chip manufacturer. We got that information. And then we got something that I've wanted to talk about since Friday. California Democrats play bully. And they are playing bully. It's one of those things where they are the super majority here. And let me tell you, they know about it. But before I do, I want you to hold on one second. The screen will go dark for a minute and reset this, but I will. That fast, guys. All right. Okay, we are back. I wanted to get this all set up correctly before we start moving. In other news, check this out. I was interesting today, and I've been seeing this lately, but you always got to worry about what the CDC is doing and how they are affecting you and what's going on in the world that'll, I guess you could say, ruin your life or slow down your life or control your life. And this was an ABC News post from earlier today. It says the CDC is closely monitoring an unknown disease that has killed dozens in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The agency said on Monday. And I guess the reason why I'm a little concerned when I see stuff like this is just a simple fact that when we see things like this, it is nerve-wracking because it is the CDC. And it's also nerve-wracking because we had people like Fauci and other people say that, hey, when Trump takes office, there could be another pandemic within weeks of him taking office. And remember, before COVID, he also stated that he expected one right around the corner. So let's pray that this doesn't get too out of hand here and that things actually work out here. I just thought this was fun. Democrats introducing our new executive director of the DMC, Roger Lau. It says, the son of working class immigrants, Roger Lau has managed 6 campaigns from congressional races all the way to Elizabeth Warren's 2020 presidential campaign. Congratulations, Roger. They are bragging about promoting a loser. Think about that. Just imagine if you were sitting there and you were a sponsor and you wanted to sponsor a NASCAR driver, a car in one of the big races, and you came up and you were like, listen, back in 2020, this car finished 36th. Be like, why are you bragging about that? That's not much to brag about. But once again, Democrats are doubling down on their wokeness. They want someone of color. They want to be able to use the word immigrant. I am thankful. There was even some rumors that Tim Walz will run in 2028. I think they're just rumors. But I was like, please do hand it to whoever the Republican is. I seen this before I was going live as well. I thought this was interesting. It says, this is from Libs of TikTok. Camden Sadie Schreiner, a male track runner who cheats against women, was reportedly forced to run by himself in the girls' 400-meter Open Masters Championship New York race after female competitors refused to run against him. This is what we need more of. God bless, and a big shout out to those girls who didn't run. It said he also competed in the girls' 200-meter and where multiple other girls refused to run. Camden took first place in both events. So this is the picture of that person. Again, somebody who wouldn't even be mediocre against somebody of their own biological sex. But again, in order to win, they go against girls. And I'm glad. So that was the girls' 400-meter Open Masters Championship in New York. So hats off to those girls. God bless you. There's going to be people coming after you, attacking you. It's up to us, the real world, to stand behind you and support you. We need more of that, guys. We need more of that. Remember, we played this earlier. We've been covering it for the last about 2 weeks. Donald Trump says paid troublemakers are attending Republican town hall meeting. It's all part of the game for the Democrats. But just like our big landslide election, it's not going to work for them. And so there was actually a response from Hakeem Jeffries. This is great. You're doing good work when they have to.
Just got back.
When they have to do this. Take a look at this.
Just got back to the Capitol. Another day, another lie from these people who are out of control. I'm told that Donald Trump, Mike Johnson, and the extreme MAGA Republicans are claiming that Democrats are sending paid protesters into their town hall meetings. What's wrong with y'all? What's wrong with y'all? You don't need to send paid protesters into your town hall meetings. The American people are with us all across the country. People are rising up to push back against the assault on the economy, the assault on hardworking families, the assault on our democracy, and the assault on Medicaid. We don't need paid protesters, bro. The American people are with us.
The American people are with you. Where were they? I'm just wondering, where were they in the 7 swing states on election day? Where were they? The American people is not with you. You know it. And again, they will say, well, it wasn't us. It'll be these NGOs. It'll be the people that call themselves grassroots organizers that put out their mass mailers. They get money and donations, the Act Blue, all those things. And it's just great to see.
Another day.
And we also talked about earlier that tomorrow is the State of the Union address. I can't wait. Hakeem Jeffries put this out in a letter to his colleagues. It says, the decision to attend the joint session is a personal one, and we understand that members will come to different conclusions. However, It is important to have a strong, determined, and dignified Democratic presence in the chamber. The House is an institution, belongs to the American people, and as their representatives, we will not be run off the block or bullied. More and more people were trying, more and more Democrats were saying, more should join us. Well, I'm going to be doing a town hall. I'm going to be doing this. Nobody's going to watch your town hall. Nobody cares. It's going to be a massive audience for the State of the Union. And I don't know, caution on the next video, because we're just going to show you Democrat mayors. We just heard Hakeem Jeffries claim that the people are with you. Take a look at this. This was a stabbing in Boston. And of course, because it was a Democrat-controlled city, the mayor came out and listen to what she says. She's worried about the person who stabbed them, not the victims. This is beyond wokeness.
My condolences and all of our thoughts are with the family of the individual whose life has been lost. My condolences and all of our thoughts are with the family of the individual whose life has been lost.
Not the victims, not the tax-paying citizens that just want you to arrest these criminals. And people are like, did she really say that? She doubled down on it today. Take a listen to this. Let me refresh that.
Express condolences along with our police commissioner and district attorney, because every loss of life is a horrible tragedy.
I don't consider somebody going around stabbing people, putting other people's life at risk, or murdering people. I don't consider their life of their loss of life a tragedy. I don't know about you, but I think a lot of these folks, and this was shared from End Wokeness, I think a lot of these folks are sick and tired of this. And then and by the way, at the end, I'll kind of give you a spoiler, but she has to go testify in Congress this week because she's a sanctuary mayor. So I just can't imagine that. I just can't imagine that. Sad. This one here, breaking. The head of the FBI field office in New York, James Dennehy, has been forced to resign his post. He claims he was not given a reason why, but the Department of Justice has accused his office of refusing to hand over a trove of Epstein documents to Attorney General Pam Bondi. So he was even on Friday, I guess they told him he could either resign or be fired. His choice was to resign. He is at retirement age. He gets to collect your tax dollars for the rest of his life. Let me pull this out right here.
So who's in charge at the New York FBI field office? Who's withholding Epstein docs from the Attorney General? James Dennehy is running the show there. There he is. This is the guy who emailed his whole staff to dig in after Trump took office. And don't forget that James Comey's daughter is an assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. She worked on the Epstein and Maxwell cases. She's kind of knee-deep in this. Epstein was facing sex trafficking charges in Lower Manhattan. Where's all that paperwork? The FBI seized computers, surveillance videos, banking records, file cabinets, and photographs from all of Epstein's properties in New Mexico, the Virgin Islands, Palm Beach, and in New York. The Justice Department also gave Epstein a sweetheart non-prosecution deal 17 years ago. Where are those files? the Bureau of Prisons. Where are those files? You remember where Epstein killed himself? I asked Bill Barr about that, why everything seemed to go wrong that night.
When I first heard all the information and all the coincidences here, I was suspicious.
What were the coincidences? I mean, those were a lot of coincidences.
Well, one of the cameras was out.
Right.
He was supposed to have a cellmate. The cellmate left. They didn't replace the cellmate. And the guards who were supposed to check him every half hour didn't check him.
My EMT source said he was on the scene immediately to pull Epstein's body out to the morgue. And when he got to the cell, he saw 7 people there touching Epstein's body and moving stuff around.
So, again, a lot of stuff. Will we ever know? Have the files been destroyed? I'm starting to lean towards the, yeah, I am. And again, I'm also leaning towards it's going to be a bunch of BS if they just allow people to resign and there's no criminal charges. If we don't get the files, if we don't learn the truth, there needs to be multiple people prosecuted. There needs to be multiple people in jail because they are protecting pedophiles. They are protecting a child sex trafficking organization, and it's sickening. And I said this before. I'm sure there is some Republican names in there, some pretty big Republican names. Oh, well, I'm not here to protect them. Release the names. Let's see what happens. And just so you know, this was from Insurrection Barbie. And it just goes over something. I think we covered it then. Again, I've slept since then. On 2/14/2024, a little over a year ago, a lawsuit was filed at SDNY against the FBI for their gross mishandling of the Epstein case. Jane Doe versus the United States of America. The allegations below are in the complaint and they are explosive. Just take a listen. This is one of the victims suing the FBI in New York. The FBI was aware of Jeffrey Epstein in 1993 when him and 2 defendants were charged with 3 counts of larceny for trying to steal treasury checks. He was given 5 years probation. In 1996, Maria Farmer filed a police report in New York City about how her and her sister had been abused by both Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Jeffrey Epstein was still on probation at the time. From 1996 to 2005, the FBI continued to receive reports about potential abuse, but failed to investigate. In 2002, the Secret Service cleared a private jet that belonged to Epstein for takeoff. The head of the Secret Service in 2002 was Brian Stafford, and the head of the FBI was Robert Mueller. In 2002, a sexual abuse survivor was issued a visa to go to Brazil and travel on the private jet of Jeffrey Epstein. At that time, it was known to the FBI that Epstein had requested scores of visas for girls. He also initiated a passport for a victim of sex trafficking that had been approved through back channels. The person who would have been responsible at the top of granting visas to known victims of sexual abuse and sex trafficking would be Colin Powell, who was Secretary of State. When the FBI did a search in 2019, they found numerous passports and numerous different names, all issued to Jeffrey Epstein by the United States of America. Palm Beach County called the FBI in March 2005 to tell them that they had 5 victim statements and 17 witnesses alleging that Jeffrey Epstein had abused them. But the FBI would not open a case until July 24, 2006, even after the FBI learned that victims were being threatened. The FBI was also notified numerous times from 2006 to 2008 by JP Morgan Chase about very suspicious activities and payments made to girls by Epstein. The negotiated non-prosecution agreement in 2008 had not been given to the victims and prompted a DOJ investigation, but nothing happened. And the 2008 case was botched so badly that the chief of Palm County called for the resignation of the attorney who was handling the case. It says this is not the first time this case was brought. It was originally brought in 2024, but due to the fact the judge ruled in the case that the plaintiffs could not proceed forward as anonymous, the case was dismissed without prejudice. The case is currently awaiting to be assigned to a judge. A year later, waiting to be assigned from a judge, that don't seem like justice to me. But this is where we're at here, guys. This is where we've been at for quite a while. See, President Trump, we talked about it on our first show today, investments in America. While Democrats are, I don't know what they're complaining about right now. The price of eggs. Biden killed all kind of chickens, and that's Trump's fault. Take a listen to this here.
Taiwan Semiconductor is announcing that they will be investing at least $100 billion in new capital in the United States over the next short period of time to build state-of-the-art semiconductor manufacturing facilities. I think mostly it's going to be in Arizona, which is what I understand, which is a great state. I like it because I won it, but I won most of them actually. But I did. We won it, and we won it big. The most powerful AI chips in the world will be made right here in America, and it'll be a big percentage of the chips made by his company. But as you know, they're based mostly in Taiwan, and they're far and away the biggest. There's nobody even close. This $100 billion in new investment will go into building 5 cutting-edge fabrication facilities in the great state that we just discussed, Arizona, and will create thousands of jobs, many thousands of jobs, and high-paying jobs. In total, today's announcement brings Taiwan Semiconductor investments to about $165 billion. They've started already.
More good news for America. Again, tariffs work, folks. And
today, Taiwan
that
Semiconductor is announcing.
Complaining about is the stock market's down a little today. Trump says that the tariffs will go into effect tomorrow. Tomorrow is Tuesday. And guess what? Let's find out what happens. This all happened the first time Trump did tariffs. They said it would increase our prices. You didn't notice any increase. And let's hope for the same thing again this time. Oh, excuse me. Check this out. Taiwan Semiconductor. Let me just show you. Maybe if I hit the right one. This was a post from the White House. And it says, state-of-the-art semiconductor manufacturing facilities, fastest chips in the world, 5 cutting-edge fabrication facilities in Arizona, thousands of high-paying American jobs. And the investment so far that President Trump has secured for this country, and I want to show you the press secretary talk about that, $1.7 trillion in private sector
20 to 25,000.
Check this out.
And Caroline Levitt, I heard through the grapevine that you made $100 million from Taiwan Semiconductor. Tremendous investment. I know the company well, and I remember we had them relocate into the United States in the first term. $100 million isn't bad, Caroline Levitt.
$100 billion, Larry. Don't underestimate the numbers.
Did I say million? $100 billion. I'm sorry.
$100 billion with a B, and it's going to create 20 to 25,000 good-paying jobs at least. They are going to create a new manufacturing facility in the great state of Arizona. They are going to produce chips right here in the United States of America, which is not going to just create more jobs. It's also going to protect America's national security. As we know, chips are so important to our manufacturing industry. So it's a great day for the American public. And this racks up the total of foreign investments brought back home to $1.7 trillion in 1 month since President Trump took office. It took Joe Biden 4 years to get $1 trillion in private investments secured. So President Trump has already surpassed what Joe Biden did in 4 years in 1 month. And that's why he's the greatest president we've.
Amen. Amen. And again, your lamestream media places won't talk about that. Democrats aren't excited about this. They don't care about the jobs. You didn't see any Democrats saying, yes, that's great for Arizona. Nothing. They're not going to give him any accolades. They're not going to give him any support. They're not going to say, you know what, Trump is doing a great job in this area. And again, I think that resonates to even independents. Like, wow, especially those who live in Arizona, are that just follow the news, business people. They're like, wow, that's pretty big. That's pretty big stuff right there. And to have Democrats not say anything, again, silence is pretty powerful, especially in this type of situation. So this was a Trump tracker. And this was from Daily Mail. And I want to pull this up really quick so you guys could see it. And this is Donald Trump approval at 54, up from 53 in early February. So he's actually gained 1%. And this shows the different folks where it's went up and went back, actually +8 in blacks. That's crazy. But overall, this is some pollsters have found Trump's rating slipping. We think this reflects non-responsive bias rather than reality. Basically, energized Democrats who were not answering polls a month ago are now doing so. Our polling was the most accurate in 2024, and we are confident that this is the real picture. This is JL Partners. Let's see. Trying to see the 18 to 29 is +4 points too. Gender, male hasn't changed. That's 57 to 50 female, but 1% increase in the female voters. So I think this is kind of interesting. Again, we just use polls as talking points. Right now, you heard Hakeem Jeffries that says the people are with us when they're having to use their little groups to go to conservative lawmakers, our conservative elected officials, and to try to interrupt their town halls and do chants like, hey, hey, ho, ho, Elon Musk has got to go. Conservatives don't do that stuff. They just don't. And we know, we've been watching for a while. They're trying to reincarnate the BLM movement, the Palestinian Lives Matter movement, and it's just not working very well. And in that winning, I posted this about an hour ago, guys. Linda McMahon confirmed as education secretary. She was, when I looked, it was like 51 to 45 on the vote. So Linda McMahon has been confirmed. Trump has tasked her pretty much to abolish the bloated federal Department of Education, send the education back to the states. And so that is going to be what she is tasked with doing. And now watch, we've covered education for quite a while now. All the things we covered, Democrats are going to be screaming in about 2 months that in California, only a third of everybody that graduates can read at grade level. Been like that for a while. That's not a surprise. We cover it all the time. Only 42% were competent in math. Another reason we abolished the Department of Education. We're spending more and more money. We're just feeding money to the teachers union. When we do increase budgets and funding for the Department of Education, it never reaches the teacher. And again, we don't have a merit-based program in teaching. You have teachers that just slide on by in Los Angeles and New York and everywhere else and just keep getting paid. Their students fail. Their classroom has no accountability. And it's time to abolish that. However, like we said before, depending on what state you live in, I live in California, our education system will not be getting any better. We have one of the wokest education systems in the country. You do have some conservative pockets. I live in one, but even living in that one over the last 15 years, we have seen such a decline in the education and the dress code and what we expect out of the students. And so it's going to be interesting. I know this is going to be one of those things where it'll be interesting to watch. But again, a bloated bureaucracy. That's all the Department of Education is. A lot of people there that don't need a job, that's not doing anything for the bottom line of our students, and a lot of DEI departments. Remember this? I played this for you, and on the Trump gold card, I want to play this.
Start selling hopefully in about 2 weeks. Now, just so you understand, if we sell 1 million, right? 1 million, that's $5 trillion. 5 trillion. Howard was using a different number, but that's $5 trillion. If we sell 10 million, which is possible, 10 million highly productive people coming in, or people that we're going to make productive, they'll be young, but they're talented, like a talented athlete. That's $50 trillion. That means our debt is totally paid off, and we have $15 trillion above that. And now I don't know that we're going to sell that many. Maybe we won't sell many at all, but I think we're going to sell a lot, because I think there really is a thirst. No other country can do this, because people don't want to go to other countries. They want to come here. Everybody wants to come here.
So Democrats were on that Trump is selling citizenship. If they don't know about the current visa program, they just need to step out. I told you I worked with a company that did the HB5 or H1B visa, H5, whatever it was. And again, what that means is if you're Chinese and you want to gain a green card, a path forward to citizenship, it was $1 million. You go invest at the company I worked for. They had many people invest. You never get a return on your investment. It was almost kind of sketchy. And I was so surprised at Mark Cuban. And he actually made a good point. Usually, you can call him Rachel Maddow if you want. He's very similar, but he's out of the Rachel Maddow shell today. And he put this out on X. And listen to what he says. I actually like this idea if we sell them to corporations. It says the H-1B visa game is ridiculous. Go to companies and tell them $5 million for any employee making over $500K, and they get immediate citizenship if they pass an advanced background check. Without citizenship and only 3 years, same background checks, price is $1 million. Says the whole lottery and caps approach is broken. If the person is that valuable, like many AI engineers are, make it corporate pay to play. If you ain't going to hire American, pay taxpayers for the right. I like how he says that at the end. I mean, I'm shocked that I'm agreeing with Mark Cuban. If you're not going to hire American, and again, it's not that they don't want to hire Americans. It's just, again, the education system is so better off in some countries. These people are learning coding at 5, 6 years old, and they continue through elementary school, high school, and their after school education. And these people are some of the best in the world. And if you want to be top in AI, if we're not top in AI, kiss this country goodbye. We have to be top in AI, whether you like AI or not. But it says if you're not going to hire American, pay taxpayers for the right. But you know what? Democrats were bashing this just on Friday, I think it was. So we'll see how that ends up. This is kind of what we touched on at the beginning of the show. This is from Tina Peters' account. It says the DOJ just filed a statement of interest in real Tina Peters' case. You know, she was the one that was also politically persecuted. It says, thank you, Pam Bondi, FBI Director Kash Patel, and real Donald Trump. Reasonable concerns, I'll read this. Reasonable concerns have been raised about various aspects of Mrs. Peters' case. The exceptionally lengthy sentence imposed relative to the conduct at issue, the First Amendment implications of the trial court's October 2024 assertion relating to Mrs. Peters, and whether Colorado's denial of bail pending appeal was arbitrary or unreasonable under the 8th and 14th Amendment. Parallel to these, DOJ is reviewing cases across the nation for abuses of the criminal justice process. See Attorney General Memorandum Restoring the Integrity and Credibility of the Department of Justice, dated February 5th, 2025. The review will include an evaluation of state of Colorado's prosecution of Ms. Peters and, in particular, whether the case was oriented more towards inflicting political pain than towards pursuing actual justice or legitimate governmental objectives. Executive Order 14147, ending the weaponization of government. And there's that paperwork there. This is great. Again, I know people cry online and they want this stuff to move overnight. And with everything that you have going on right now and all the people you have working against you, I think the Trump administration with their executive orders and everything has done a fabulous job thus far. Again, I will be the first to be critical when it's not. I was critical in the first administration. They did nothing for education. Education in our children and the indoctrination is why I got involved in politics. And I understand that he was fighting this, he was fighting that, but now everything's on the table. It's hitting hard. And I think it's been like, what's the date today? 33 days? 43 days or 41 days. So let's give us some time, folks. Let's give it some time. I think 41 days, if I'm not mistaken. This was shared by Jake Lang on X. It says, unbelievable news. And we talked about this lawsuit. Breaking news, the District of Columbia versus the Proud Boys International LLC. The case has just been dropped, including Enrique Tarrio, Stuart Rhodes, and many more January 6 political prisoners. Attorney General for D.C., Brian L. Schwab, just filed this. And it says, pursuant to Federal Rule Civil Procedure 41A2, Plaintiff, District Court of Columbia, the district respectfully requests that the court dismiss with prejudice the above captioned action against all defendants, with each party bearing its own cost and fees consistent with this request. The district also withdraws its pending motion for partial summary judgment set for oral argument on March 3rd, 2024. And listen, you have defendant Ryan Ashlock, Joe Biggs, Thomas Caldwell, Louis Enrique Colon, Kenneth Harrelson, Jonathan Peter Klein, Robert Menuda, William Pepe, Dominic Pizzola, and Stuart Rhodes, John Schaefer, Enrique Tarrio, Brian L. Ulrich, and Edward Vallejo. Remember when D.C. was going to sue them? Literally, the city was going to sue them for harm and damages. Enrique Tarrio wasn't even there, even though he got 22 and a half years in jail. Thank God he is out. God bless Enrique Tarrio and those folks. And just an update, any moment now, probably later this week. Today is Monday, but I'm hoping, and again, this is just a guess, by Wednesday or Thursday, Benjamin Martin will be released. We covered that last week. I talked to his fiance a little while ago. I think it was 2 nights ago, and said, hey, I'm hearing some rumors about this stuff. And she says, yes, the California courts did not object to releasing him from jail while he fights the case. So he still has a battle in front of him. I don't think too many people are going to be worried about it. The FBI agents that prosecute him better be fired pretty soon. And when I say prosecuted, when you go into a home looking for other reasons because you have nothing on January 6th, and that's what Corey Ledbetter did, and he is the Fresno FBI agent. But let me see. It says Friday at 5:05, it said, what a long, nerve-wracking day. Trennis, which is Trennis Evans, just called. Appellate judge signed the order for release. It's not over yet, but one giant step forward. It now goes to a district judge, Thurston, to sign and make release conditions. He should be home next week. She could, and she probably will, give release conditions. Could be anything from bail, home confinement, etc., but he will be home. Reality is she's going to be pissed, so some conditions are likely, but either way, him being home is a win. And from here he can work on getting the case dismissed. And so that's any time, like I said, they're going to drag their feet a little. If this was a Black Lives Matter protester, they would have been out over the weekend. But because this is a patriot who stood up for his country, protested against the tyranny, it's going to take a little time. So let's say a prayer for Benjamin Martin, guys. It's huge that we get this, that he gets home. He gets his case dismissed. He's home with his family. He is honestly a great patriot. I've spent some great time with him. I remember when he had a coalition of folks to fight the tyranny. He was one of the best leaders I've ever met. I deal with a lot of, and I know the other patriot groups hate when I say this, or they're probably just hearing me now say it. But when you went and you sat down, this is what the problem is. This is what we need to do. 8 people sitting around, everybody had homework, and they would meet the following week. Okay, what's your homework? What do we do here? Did you get this filed? Incredible leader. And I'm praying that he gets home soon. Now we're going to talk about California. But before we talk about the Democrats in California stripping committee assignments from Republicans because they have a major majority, and again, they are playing bully. They are playing dictator here in the state of California. This isn't from we talked about the cost increase of minimum wage for fast food. We covered it extensively. We covered the price increases. We did videos on it. We compared the cost of fast food in California versus Oregon versus Colorado versus all these other places, Texas. And it was a substantial increase. I want you to watch this video from John Stossel. But before you do, guys, hey, we are at the beginning of the month and we have some bills to pay. We got all our data stuff back again. February is a short month. It came quickly. We are 100% viewer funded. If you appreciate what you see, if you appreciate the travel, you appreciate all the stuff that we post and all we do, if you could be so kind and bless us, you can bless us at Venmo at Oreo Josh, Cash App, $Oreo Army, GiveSendGo.com/Oreo 2024. Or if you prefer Zelle, you can go over to our website, theoreoexpress.com. There's a donate now button, guys. We got quite a few bills to pay in the next, 6 to 9 days. And so I just want to say thank you to everybody who does support us, everybody that helps us stay on these platforms and does everything else, guys. Appreciate you, and you guys are a blessing. So listen to this again. It's about the minimum wage. And guess what? This didn't come from some right-wing think tank. This is a study from the Berkeley Research Group. I'm going to say it one more time. Berkeley. You know, like pink hair. You don't have freedom of speech anymore. Trump's a Nazi. That Berkeley Research Group points out the high cost of California's $20 fast food minimum wage. Listen to this. And we told you this would happen, and we were liars.
What did they do? Well, California's political geniuses, in the name of helping workers, have once again passed a law that kills jobs.
The minimum wage for fast food workers will rise to $20 an hour.
We need this. We need this so bad.
We need this, says this union activist. And in California, what unions want, they generally get.
We fight! We win!
California approved the higher minimum just for fast food workers.
We did this. My workers, we did this.
But what they really did was lose nearly 10,000 fast food jobs.
Pizza Hut preemptively laid off 1,200 delivery drivers like Michael Ojeda.
What's the point of the raise if you don't have a job anymore?
The new law also caused prices to rise. A reporter asked Governor Newsom.
Can Californians expect the prices of their McDonald's and Starbucks to go up?
I've heard that rhetoric before, and it didn't happen.
But it did happen. In this case, even before the new minimum took effect.
McDonald's, Chipotle, and Starbucks already saying they plan to raise prices to offset the rising labor costs.
And there was other damage. Some restaurants said,
"We're no longer hiring. We're not growing in the state anymore."
Others just closed. The owner of this restaurant texted.
"I couldn't survive the mandated wage increases."
And now that the $20 minimum's taken effect,
restaurants in the state have increased prices by 10% faster than all other states.
A cup of Starbucks coffee may now cost 15% more. A Chipotle chicken burrito, 8% more.
Thank you for making this happen.
How can California's politicians be so foolish? Don't they know about supply and demand? If you force people to raise wages, they'll either raise prices, cut jobs, or replace workers with machines.
Almost everything here is made by machines. The fries by a robot called Flippy.
The politicians know less than Stossel in the classroom students. I'd reported on this folly years ago when Seattle led the country in dumb wage laws.
15 in Seattle is just a beginning. We have an entire world to win. Solidarity.
When the law passed, we went to Seattle to interview people about it.
It's a good thing that we're leading the way for the rest of the country.
A rising tide raises all boats.
I wish that it was all over the place, not just Seattle.
But now the results from Seattle are in. Some people are being paid more. They're the winners. But for many people who wanted jobs,
The increased minimum wage is having an opposite effect,
costing thousands of jobs and actually hurting low-income workers.
You see it on this graph. The green line tracks the number of new jobs created in Washington state. The red line is new jobs in Seattle. Once Seattle raised its minimum to $15, entry-level job growth stalled.
It's really presented by minimum wage advocates as a win-win. It's a win-win for employers. It's a win-win for workers. And, there are no negatives.
But there are negatives, says Erin Shannon of the Washington Policy Center. She points to stories like this one, where the owner used to hire kids and train them. But once Seattle raised the minimum, she stopped hiring beginners.
Politicians have no sense whatsoever about what it means to small businesses like us.
Minimum wage actually hurts my chances of getting employed.
This 20-year-old understands the effect.
Raising the minimum wage causes increased unemployment.
Rigel Noble-Koza is one of the winners of a video contest done by my classroom charity.
This is my wage rage.
Dylan Hodes won the high school video contest. He mentioned a friend who worked at Kroger until her store raised its minimum to $12.
She was getting paid $12 an hour, but slowly but surely, they started cutting her days, her hours. She was regulated to only working on Sundays. And that's because she was young and inexperienced. I feel the big thing.
She wasn't worth $12.
She wasn't worth $12 to Kroger. She's worth the world to me, but she wasn't worth $12 to Kroger.
I learned things from their videos, like how many wealthy countries have no minimum wage.
Countries such as Iceland, Norway, Sweden, and Switzerland.
Nobody knows that.
No.
It stops us from actually getting a job.
Esther Rhodes won the high school essay contest. Her essay pointed out that America's first minimum wage laws were racist. At the time, blacks were often paid less, but they were more likely to be employed than whites.
The whites were like, hey, they're getting all the jobs. This isn't fair.
Congressman Holgan said he hoped the minimum wage would stop cheap colored labor in competition with white labor. So although Americans think the minimum was invented to help needy people,
it was meant for the opposite, to keep the poor and the minorities from getting jobs.
Lift up the minimum wage to at least $15 an hour.
It's easy to see why a higher minimum wage is so popular.
On the surface, you think, oh, this is a great idea.
Because it raises some people's wages.
Everybody deserves a living wage.
But while it helps some, it harms many others, especially young people who may now not be offered their first job.
I'm 14. It'd be very difficult for me to find a job. My labor wouldn't be worth $15 an hour.
If only politicians were as smart as those kids.
Interesting stuff there, right? Minimum wage was created to keep the colored people down, and now you have the Democrats pushing it. It's doing the same thing now. I find it interesting. What did it say? 14.5% increase, and I'm going to tell you, it's more in California in some areas. I told you that guys this before. Like, there's some places that I used to like to eat. I only eat there when I'm outside of California, like Carl's Jr.'s, for example. It's almost $20 for a meal deal there. That's anything that's worthy of me chowing down. And I have to throw this out there. Thank God that In-N-Out hasn't raised their prices as much, because you all know In-N-Out is the best. But when you think about this, guys, think about this. We told you. Everybody told you. Gavin Newsom said, I've heard that malarkey before, almost like a Biden statement. And look at the results. Robotic fries. A robotic arm that makes fries. The Pizza Huts, the Foster Freeze. And I love me a Foster Freeze. I think 3 of the Foster Freeze that I know of shut down. One of them was like a few days after the minimum wage took effect. The employees went there. Was that in Hanford, I believe? Employees went there 2 or 3 days after this law took effect. There was a note on window. They can't afford to pay anybody. The one right here in Clovis that has been there and an icon and a staple my whole life on Clovis Avenue. Every time you get your tires changed, you walk over to Foster's. Done. Gone. And that's what happens, guys. That's what happens when the government gets involved and tells an employer what they need to pay. And I also thought it was interesting, those countries that didn't have a minimum wage. What'd they say? Iceland, Norway, Sweden, and Switzerland. And they don't have the issues we have when it comes to entry-level positions or getting that job. Absolutely insane. Well, since we're talking about California, I want you to watch this.
Shutting out the outspoken Republicans. California's Democratic. Shutting out the outspoken.
Hold on. We have some folks, again, that have been removed from their committee assignments because they've been outspoken regarding Democrat policies. And this is just the game Democrats want to play here in California. I think eventually it won't bite them in the ass right now, but eventually it will. That's for you, Pixie. Take a listen to this.
Republicans. California's Democratic Assembly Speaker made a controversial decision to remove some of the most vocal Republicans from their leadership positions at the state capitol.
KCRA 3 Capitol correspondent Ashley Zavala joining us now to explain how it's expected to impact the legislature's business this week and beyond.
Yeah, well, starting off, multiple Republicans told me late Friday this is something that blindsided them. Assembly Speaker Robert Rivas announced he removed the most outspoken Republicans from their vice chair positions on various committees. Now, these committees determine which proposed state laws move forward or how taxpayer dollars are used in the state's budget. So the outspoken Republicans that were stripped from their position include Assemblyman Bill Asaley, who is the vice chairman of the Elections Committee. He has most recently agitated Democrats by introducing a reparations-related bill that the Legislative Black Caucus at first prioritized, but then blocked last year. Also, Assemblymember Alexandra Macedo was stripped from 2 budget committees. She has been a vocal critic of the high-speed rail and recently gained popularity after having a tomato thrown at her when President Trump's administration announced the investigation into the use of federal funds for the project. Assemblymember David Tangipa was removed as vice chairman of the Assembly's Insurance Committee. He has been outspoken about the state's insurance and wildfire situation since the Los Angeles wildfires broke out. Assemblyman Joe Patterson from our area was removed as vice chairman of the Assembly's Health Committee. He most recently spoke out about the Democratic-led legislature's use of non-disclosure agreements in the policymaking process. And Assemblyman Carl DeMaio has been scrutinizing and criticizing state spending recently, getting the Newsom administration to admit that it has spent more this year on healthcare for undocumented people than it expected by billions. That's estimated up to be $9.5 billion. Republicans will still serve on those committees and hold vice chair positions, but they will be less outspoken, more moderate Republicans. But again, these roles have been stripped by the outspoken members you see on your screen here.
Moderate Republicans. That's Republicans in name only. That's rhinos. We need people to fight for us, and that's what these folks were doing.
They will still serve on some committees, but just not very high-profile ones. In a statement, Republican Assembly Minority Leader James Gallagher said, quote, "Before they've even taken action on a single bill to lower the cost of living, Assembly Democrats retaliated against Republican lawmakers for highlighting their failures on the cost of living, wildfire, and energy. Let me be clear," he said in part, "we will not be intimidated by petty politics." Meanwhile, a spokesman for Assembly Speaker Robert Rivas, Nick Miller, said, quote, the speaker routinely addresses committee needs throughout the year, and his goal is always to ensure members are in optimal roles to collaborate effectively and deliver for Californians. We should note, Speaker Robert Rivas has only been in the leadership position for 1.5 years. I've been covering the Capitol for more than 7 years now, and even experts that I've talked to who have been around longer have really said this is an odd time to do this, and I have never seen a legislative leader.
Well, you know what? Now's a good time to, if they want to play ball, why can't, if they want to play with our representation, why can't Trump play ball as well? California is asking for $40 billion for wildfire relief. We don't have our representatives to go to. They're going to put other moderate Republican. There's no such thing as a moderate Republican. Either you're America first, you're California first, you want what's greatest to legal American citizens, or you're not a Republican. And I get it. Some of these fake Republicans get elected all throughout California because their district is blue. And they say, well, we just need to find a pathway to citizenship. These folks, they're picking vegetables. Use the old Democrat talking point, and those people get elected. Who's the one I'm thinking of right now? Hanford, Tulare area. The traitor who voted to impeach President Trump, David Valadao. That's right. I said traitor. This was from Bill Asaya, and Bill actually wore a MAGA hat in there, so there's no reason. We understand why they took Bill off his committee assignments, but he says in the United States, the majority rules, but the minorities have a right. That's the difference between a democracy and a republic. The Democrats in Sacramento, your tyranny is showing. Look at that. 19 Republicans versus 60 Democrats. And we wonder why our cost of living is so high. We wonder why nothing ever gets done. We wonder why our state's burning down. We wonder all this. This is from Carl DeMaio. It says, we just exposed Gavin Newsom is laundering $25 million of your state tax dollars through a laughable COVID-19 workplace outreach program to fund far left political groups. We are now pulling all the contracts for referral to federal investigation. So they're doing their own little Doge thing down here. Take a listen to this.
Multi-billion-dollar state deficit. Again, I thought the staff were playing a joke on me this morning when they said, you're going to have the COVID-19 workplace outreach project come before your committee today and ask for $25 million of funding. That's going to go all the way through 2029. And I said, what next? Are we going to get a black and white tube TV regulatory program coming before us asking to regulate that long gone product? I cannot believe that in 2025, with a multi-billion-dollar state deficit, where you're raising taxes and cutting citizen services, that anyone would have the audacity to come before us and ask for $25 million for funding till 2029 for a COVID-19 outreach project. I mean, I'm looking at your annual report, glossy. During the last 12 months, funds were allocated to 76 community-based organizations to reach communities.
Community-based organizations, NGOs, not friendly with the American dream, not friendly with American citizens.
Disproportionately impacted by COVID-19. The fact that we have a COVID-19 outreach program surviving past 2021 is a problem. Most Californians would probably look at this saying, COVID-19, that's like so yesterday. Thank goodness it's so yesterday. But not up here in Sacramento where we're pumping limited taxpayer money into this program. These 76 community-based organizations, I looked at each of the organizations. I had my staff pull their IRS filings, go examine their websites. And it is clear that most of these organizations do not have the qualifications, the performance criteria for labor relations or workplace safety or workplace outreach. Many of them are unions, okay? I would say, okay, arguably, they would claim that they have the ability to do that, but I would say that they perhaps are a partisan organization with one point of view, a special interest, getting funding from the taxpayers. But how can taxpayers not conclude anything other than the fact that this is a slush fund to fund left-wing organizations? Let me read some of these organizations that you're giving money to. And you're asking for millions of dollars in a tight budget environment. Organizations like Congregations Organized for Prophetic Engagement, which is engaged in ballot harvesting during elections. Why are we funding that organization in the name of COVID-19 workplace safety when they're engaging in harvesting of ballots?
Yep.
Is the funding going to politics? How about Ring to Democracy? We looked at Ring to Democracy, empowering youth through civic engagement. Have a whole program that they fund on voter engagement and empowerment campaigns. They're not COVID-19 or healthcare experts. They're not workforce safety experts. They're a political organization, and nothing is wrong with them being a political organization. They have First Amendment rights with their own money, not with taxpayer money. Another organization, Alianza Coachella Valley, which holds political candidate forums. They lobby on legislation. Or ACCE, Alliance for Californians for Community Empowerment, a rent control group. Or Center for Community Advocacy.
Now do you understand why
they do community organizing
they have been removed
and political
from their committee assignments? Because the same thing we're finding out through Doge, where your tax dollars were funding, the same thing. And I think California is going to be much worse than what we've seen from our federal government. But again, why should your tax dollars go to these advocates of ballot harvesting or anything else? These non-profit NGO organizations getting your tax dollars. And these are the things that we need to continue to expose. And it's absolutely crazy. Michael, thank you so much for the Venmo from 18 minutes ago. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for keeping us on the air, Michael. What else do we got here? Carl also put out this video here. It's 3 minutes. It says, "This is retaliation. I just received word that the Democrat speaker just removed me from the California State Budget Committee because I exposed wasteful spending and money laundering during last week's hearing." And
in their right mind describes that as a balanced budget. And I think that it is alarming that we have the top finance officials and our top legislative analysts when it comes to fiscal issues sitting before this committee testifying before elected officials that we have a balanced budget. No one can describe this fiscal picture as balanced. And it's offensive to California taxpayers to do so.
Remember this
How much money are we spending in this year's budget on illegal immigrant services? Let's just start with healthcare.
We're spending $9.5 billion total funds.
So it's not the $6 billion that people continue to talk about in the media. It's $9.5 billion. Well, if we cut that, at least using your math, we'd have a $1 billion surplus, my friends. We wouldn't have to go into the rainy day fund. Gee, I mean, soon we can actually start getting a reserve. The fact that we have a COVID-19 outreach.
Welcome to California. And I think there is going to be some changes. I don't know how much for California, but now that Americans are waking up, they see what Doge is doing. They're interested in this stuff. And David Tongipaw, a local assemblyman here, says, "I don't care what they do to me, but Democrat Assemblyman woman Maggie Krell is being punished by her own party for working with Republicans on a bill to strengthen laws against child sex trafficking for 16 and 17-year-olds. Yes, you read that right. Democrat leadership is punishing bipartisanship on protecting trafficked children. This is your Democrat leadership in California. And again, this is worse than any gang, any mob mentality you've ever seen before. But you know what? Again, a lot's being exposed. You know, I've been called a Nazi and a racist for wanting people to come here into this country legally, for wanting my border to be secure, for understanding who is coming into this country? Who are my neighbors? Well, I just want to tell you, over the last couple of weeks, especially thanks to Elon Musk, Democrats are dusting off their white hoods and they're putting them on. Listen to Nydia Velasquez, a Democrat out of New York.
My question to Elon Musk, and what the hell are you doing here in America? Go!
What the hell are you doing here in America? Other than employing thousands of people, rescuing our astronauts, all these things. Take a listen.
And what the hell are you doing?
Why does it keep doing that? Listen, white hoods are back on.
My question to Elon Musk, and what the hell are you doing here in America? Go back to South Africa.
Could you imagine if I said that to a black person? Oh my God, I would have ABC 30, KC 24, all sitting on my lawn waiting for a statement, huh? The double standard, guys. And why? Because we're cleaning up the Democrat slush fund. You've never seen them this angry before. They were able to hide a lot of their racism. They were able to hide a lot of things. And I support a South African that came here and is a legal immigrant. But it's just crazy what we are seeing and how the Democrats are losing their minds. Speaking of that, we covered this a little bit today. We've been talking about illegal border crossings are down to like close to 8,500 in the month. Lowest number in about 25 years. Take a listen to this. This can't be done. These numbers are probably fake, folks, because again, Democrats were right about everything. Let's see if they're fake numbers.
Time and again, Democrats have reached across the aisle to fix our immigration system.
Want us to work together in a bipartisan manner.
I pushed very hard for a bipartisan agreement.
How can a bill be dead on arrival? They don't even know what solutions are being proposed in terms of addressing the challenges.
We're trying to do everything that we can to make sure that we deal with what's going on at the border. There's bipartisan support.
But there wasn't a serious bipartisan effort to address it.
That bipartisan border security bill, it would have provided more border security.
The result was a bipartisan bill with the toughest set of border security reforms we've ever seen.
Look at the chaos that's unfolded at the southern border, and they just want Congress to do something about it because
first active duty troops have now arrived at the southern border.
For ICE, the agency arresting nearly 300 illegal immigrants on Saturday alone and nearly 1,000 on Sunday.
We're getting an exclusive firsthand look at the latest Trump administration deportation flight from El Paso, Texas to Ecuador.
As that aperture opens, there'll be more arrests nationwide.
But look on your screen because these are the number of arrests and actions that have been taken in just week one.
And Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, says military planes will deport every migrant every day.
Border Patrol agents told us they had 0 gotaways. That is the first time in years, Bill.
Wow.
Man, these little libtards sitting in there on their beanbag chair eating their mama's Hot Pockets. You guys lost again. So much has been done. So much is getting done. So many executive orders, not to mention, guess what? As it should be, English, the first language, the language of the United States. And I know a lot of you guys are just really sad about that. And I just love it. Again, we experienced liberal tears here yesterday so much it was hailing. But listen, this isn't because of Trump.
National security interests. Look, what we've seen from national security interests. Look,
now. Take a listen.
What we've seen from the Trump administration over the last several weeks is just a flood of unprecedented extremism and a parade of horribles that continue to be unleashed on the American people. While at the same time, the Trump administration is not focused on solving the problems of everyday Americans. We're continuing to make sure that we focus on trying to make life better for everyday Americans. Fundamentally, That's why we were sent to Washington, D.C. We have to drive down the high cost of living. We have to secure the border.
They have to cut down the high cost of living, a high cost that was incurred by Democrat leadership that happened over the last 4 years. And Trump's been in office, 43 days, and they expect it to just go overnight. He did fix the border overnight. Check that out. But listen.
Down the high cost of living. We have to secure the border. We have to keep communities safe. We have to protect our dreamers and farm workers and families. These are the things that matter, as opposed to creating crisis-like moments when we should be coming together and demonstrating leadership.
Coming together, come on board. Do you wanna root out the waste, fraud, and abuse? The millions of dollars going, well, you don't, because they're funded back to you, Hakeem Jeffries. Yeah, get used to it. All your lying and everything's gonna come out. That is a promise, and it's looking beautiful. Now, check this out before we end the show. This is Democrat mayors testifying before Congress this week. So you have Michelle Wu, who just apologized to a criminal's family because he stabbed people and he found out. He did the FAFO and was on the receiving end of finding out. Good for that. Glad for him. Eric Adams, Mike Johnson, the Denver mayor, and Brandon Johnson, the Chicago mayor. This should be interesting. Once again, put them up there, expose them, expose their policies, expose how much millions, what was it, $9.5 million in California we spend on just healthcare for illegal aliens, guys. I want to say thank you to all you guys tuning in. We are 100% viewer funded. If you would like to help out, we appreciate the blessing. It's the first of the month. We got all the data and all the things to pay. You can go to Venmo at OreoJosh, givesendgo.com/Oreo 2024. Cash App, $Oreo Army, one word. And then if you like to use Zelle transfers, you can go over to Zelle. We have a link on our website. Our website is theoreoexpress.com. And if you just scroll down a little bit, you'll see donate now. We appreciate the blessing. Thank you for keeping us on the air. Michael did a Venmo earlier, and I will just double check before we get off if I had any emails from anything else. Let's see. It's going to take a second for my emails to update. There we go. YouTube. Let's see. Downloading messages. All right. Downloading messages. Yes, Michael. Thank you again, Michael. I appreciate you. And that was it. So again, guys, if you want to help out, again, we got the bills piling up. We appreciate you. God bless you. And we will see you. If anything breaks tonight, we are going to be around the studio. But if not, you will see us again, probably about 11 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow. God bless you all. Have a great evening.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 20% on our brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one I've worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get our 2025 six-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, just $14.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our first ever mega sale. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship has sailed because right now, every order ships